everybody. I am Ed Fries, and this is my tag. No, that's not my normal tag team partner. This is my Marvel Talk tag team partner, Andre C, joining me for a special edition of Taking Over as Astrid is enjoying the lovely, lovely area of London. She's taking some time off for her birthday, so make sure that you guys wish her happy birthday next week when she comes back. We're going to have all kinds of fun and surprises for her. It's going to be fantastic. But Andre has decided to join me talking the wonderful world of NXT while he normally covers Stardom and New Japan. So Andre, as an outside observer, you saw, I'm going to say, a rather alright episode of NXT. There was nothing spectacular that happened, but there was a lot of storyline progression going into a very big show. Coming up in 2.5-3 weeks now. WrestleMania Saturday, April 1st. What did you think?
Well, before anything, I gotta drop my favorite line. Did somebody say Andre C? Some classic Andre Chase. I remember those lines from when he was first showed up. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this show. There was some great, not super level wrestling, because again, I wouldn't say at the Stardom New Japan level that I'm usually watching, but the good quality young and up and coming wrestling that I absolutely enjoyed on this show. The Grayson Waller kid, I know, the brawl there. He's impressed me just with his promo. It's not charm, but the pure evil of the man. Gargano, I haven't cut a promo that well in 15 months. So, yeah, just overall, I haven't watched NXT proper other than the paper, I guess the PLEs in a long time. So I quite enjoyed this.
Yeah, I would say, in your as you were saying with the matches, there's a difference coming from a New Japan where it's like these are all big shows. All of their shows are big shows because they don't have weekly television. So they don't have off nights where guys just kind of go out there and go through the motions and have a wrestle. Tonight was guys going out there and having a wrestle, and gals having a wrestle and telling some stories. Were any of them 5-star classics? No. It's WWE NXT television. It's not going to happen there. You're not going to get a 5-star classic on NXT TV.
I saw a great, possibly 3-star match on this show and in the tag team match. But
that's what I'm saying. That's just the greatness of NXT is that you have a quality 2-hour wrestling show that when you're done watching it, you're not like, oh, it's finally over. You're like, oh, that was fun. I enjoyed that. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to see what happens next.
Very much so.
Speaking of things that happened on the show and what's going to happen next, we're going to start in the very beginning with Johnny Wrestling opening the show. He comes back out. There's this huge group of, as I call them, Waller plants. I don't know if Grayson Waller paid them. I don't know if they're just happen to be the biggest Grayson Waller fans in the world. But there's this group of about 10 people with Grayson Waller signs. And mind you, they're the only signs in the entire CWC. Nobody else in this building has a sign.
Yep.
But there's this group of people with signs, and they're all pro Grayson Waller signs. And as you said, Johnny just comes back and cuts essentially the second half of the promo he cut 15 months ago when he left.
Very much so.
And before we get on anymore,
hey,
it's tag team partner.
It's my regular tag partner.
Hello, Mel. Thank you for joining us. No, Ashley's going to keep us in line, Mel, so it's going to have to be your job tonight.
It's going to get wild.
But Johnny talks about how he respected what Grayson Waller did to him 15 months ago. Because you know what? It showed that he had something in him. And it made him excited to see what Grayson Waller did next. And as Johnny says, you know what you did next, Grayson? You failed. Twice.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, I was away for 15 months. You had 2 shots at that NXT championship. And you failed. He's like, you want to know the last guy that took me out? You want to know what his name was? Tommaso Ciampa. And he became one of the greatest NXT champions of all time. And he says, the reason why I came back is because you started running down NXT. And NXT is my home. And as soon as he starts talking about the NXT being his home, Vic Joseph says something to Booker T, and then all of a sudden goes up to the ring apron. And as we know from 15 months ago, Vic Joseph and Johnny Gargano were very good friends. Fantastic people. Both from the Cleveland area. Vic goes up and shows him that Grayson Waller's live on Twitter, Instagram, the social medias. Outside Johnny Gargano's home. He's showing a picture of him watching the TV through the window. And I'm just like, that's pure fucking genius.
I really wish I would have been like following whatever that account was, because that was obvious. I'm pretty sure that was
Waller's own Twitter.
That was actual. I'm pretty sure that was actual live Twitter video too. Yeah. When it's happening, I'm like, shit. I wish I would have been on his goddamn Twitter to see that, because it would have been just like that weird immersion. It would have been kind of awesome. But I love the fact that they used it that way. Because you had Johnny cut this like super passionate promo, telling this guy, "Oh, hi. Hey, Carl, how you doing, brother? Hi, Barry. Nice to see you in here."
Andre's not used to having live people. Andre pre-records content, so he's not used to having his
only live show I do is with you, dude.
I know. You were saying. Yeah,
it's that passion. He gives us so much passion in that promo, and it's all this like he's coming from his heart. He's telling this guy that you couldn't do it, but I want to see you pull. He's doing that one of like, I want to see the best version of you. I want that guy, because it's opposite of what Cena did. Saying he's saying you failed, but I want you to get better. Unlike Cena, who just buries his goddamn opponents. But
that Cena promo on Theory was fucking fantastic. That's another time for another time.
Yeah, but it's that beauty in the way he's passionate about it, and then you have the cut in of that, and it just freaks him out, and you see him just say and just fuck it and run. Like that's that look, and we'll get to it when something happens that I really did like to give us what brought us the end of the show, or towards the end of the show.
We then get one of the many throughout the night of Axiom. Wesley shows up to the arena, and Axiom, as he has been on Twitter, Instagram. So I don't often make sure I check the NXT Twitter and Instagrams and all that kind of stuff throughout the week. It's just not something I do. But I happened to be scrolling a bunch this weekend, and I kept seeing them post videos of Wesley being followed around by a ton of people the entire weekend.
You were sharing those to me. You shared one.
I shared a couple of them. I shared a bunch of them to Astrid, but I did share one to you too, of Axiom sitting inside Wesley's car, like in the driver's seat, ready to drive Wesley wherever he needed to go. and Axiom says he's sticking to Wesley like glue tonight because he's not missing that opportunity. The backstory to this is that Wesley's been doing open challenges, and Axiom a couple weeks ago got cut off by one of the other competitors and got knocked down and wasn't able to answer the open challenge. So Axiom's like, no, this week I'm doing it.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
We then have Pretty Deadly on the way to the ring before we go to commercial break. But first, when we come back, it's one of the things that me and Astrid do when we're on this show. NXT loves to do this. Show something going to commercial break. When we come back, there's something completely different for about 2.5 minutes.
They did it twice tonight.
They did it 3 times.
Oh, do it 3 times. I noticed it twice.
That's a couple times for them, because normally this happens every commercial break.
So this is what I really like what they did here.
So go ahead and talk about it.
So we get Gargano, Mackenzie Mitchell. It's Mackenzie Mitchell, right?
Yeah, Mackenzie Mitchell.
Yeah, she's following Gargano, trying to get an interview with him, and they go outside, and he's just like, I gotta leave, and gets in his car. And her telling the cameraman, follow him, get video, like telling him to follow and record, that was all I needed, because all the amount of times in the world that we've had, why is the camera at Johnny's house and things like that, or at whoever's house? The fact that they gave us that plausible reason for that camera to be there at the end or towards the end of the show, that's all I needed. When they just said, follow him, get it up, get the video.
Yeah, it's a 2-second line. It just ties it all together.
It just makes it plausible.
Because you know why Grayson is on TV. It's because he's on his phone and he's on his social media. And they do such a great job of Grayson Waller being the social media guy. by like when he had Shawn Michaels in the ring and he does his show. He holds the phone and live streams his talk show from his cell phone to the arena TV, but also live on Instagram. Like, he live streams these things. So I love that they pull that in and use that as part of his thing through this. Yeah, Mackenzie tries to talk to Johnny. Johnny's having none of it. I love that it's Mrs. Vic Joseph, too. Just another little aside.
Oh, is that...
Mackenzie Missile and Mrs. Vic Joseph. Yep. Good job, Vic. You nailed it. You got a good one.
You nailed it.
That wasn't how it was intended to go, but that's how it came out. Speaking of nailing people, we had Gallus come out next. And man, Gallus are some mean old Scottish boys.
I love these guys, dude. Like
they just need a better finisher.
I watched them in NXT or NXT UK, and they were absolutely tremendous. I think they carried that tag division between Joe and Mark and Joe and Wolfgang. Yep. Mark and Wolfgang, and it just, that whole team just made this beautiful, like, kept that division together, in my personal opinion. They're one of the only real teams to me. But
other than Pretty Deadly, that, like, I did not, because I've never really watched these guys other than a couple when they were early in NXT UK. That was still them developing. I did not expect what I got from these guys tonight, and I was very impressed. Although their gear is absolutely just trash. Like, again, this is no shade. They can dress however they want. It just looks shitty. Like, I'm sorry. I don't understand, but I love the male fashionista style gimmick that they have. It's not Maximum Male Models fashionista. It's just guys who want to be fashionable. So they seemingly wear women's fashion to make themselves fashionable. But you know what? It's cool. A look. It's a style. They have a character and a gimmick that they play to absolute perfection.
It's more the tights than anything that were just, I'm like, they're so bland and boring. I'm like, give me something flashy. Like, Gallus.
They don't need flashy because they're so flamboyant. They could honestly wear they could wear Goldberg style attire, and they would be entertaining to the max because of the fact that they're that entertaining.
They are. Oh, they
remind me to put it back to a New Japan style. They remind me a little bit of a mix between a Tai Chi and a Toriano. They can wrestle when they need to, and that's where they get the Tai Chi.
That's just Toriano in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but Toriano's wrestling isn't. Toriano doesn't have a 5-star wrestling match. Toriano has 5-star entertaining matches. But
it's been a long time since he was in contention for even a 4-star match. I'll tell you that right though.
But he's one of the best people on that card, and that's what I think about Pretty Deadly. They came out here and they had an absolute fantastic match. I loved this start to finish.
My biggest surprise was them playing the heels. I haven't been following Super 1, but when I see these two, I'm just expecting Gallus to be the bad guys.
Yeah, and we have Barry jumping in saying Pretty Deadly are great. I love the constant talking during matches. They're entertaining. They are fantastic. They have it all. They need nothing else other than to go to the main roster and get a push.
Yeah, 100%.
Could you imagine these two with teams like... And we've already seen them with the New Day. Normally my comparison would be the New Day.
The Usos?
But the Usos. The matches would be so good with the Usos. I don't
Sammy
know how
and Cody?
Sammy and Kevin will be great. Yeah.
No, it's Sammy and Cody. Come on, we all see that. It's not going to
be Sammy and Cody. But there's all kinds of fun stuff that Pretty Deadly can do. And the tag division on the main roster could use a little bit of an influx from new talent.
American Alpha?
Well, we've got some issues. Otis is being lured away by... Miss Maxine. But again, that's talk for the Raw Watch Along, which you can catch every Monday night with Carl Carafel and crew right here on Turnbuckle Studios and here on Ole. But after Gallus retains after a really fun match with Pretty Deadly, Fallon and Briggs decide to break into Kiana. Now, Okay, so
Okay, this
I'm
is
going to
great.
give you the back. I'm going to give you the backstory because this thing's been going on for about a year and a half now. So Fallon doesn't. So Brooks, the guy who wasn't in this part of the segment, the one who was with Kiana,
Yeah.
he doesn't know how to talk to girls. So at one point, they were doing like dating things to try to get him a date, and he was flirting with Caden Carter and Katana Chance.
Oh, I watch you and
Astrid
talk about this stuff.
Okay.
So don't worry,
Yeah,
I am
okay.
familiar with the storyline.
Okay, so Fallon breaks into the office with Briggs. Briggs is dressed like a fucking tree. It's fantastic. I love Briggs to death.
Dude,
He's
so good. So good.
They break into the office. They find Kiana's contract that she's going to be in one of the championship tournament matches. And as soon as they did that, I'm like, oh, well, Kiana's losing to whoever's wrestling Kiana's going to win because Kiana's got to defend those tag titles. Because last week I'd called the triple threat.
Best thing about this whole scene is something fell and made a noise, and he like wraps into the tree in the room. And it's like, okay, this is what he wore his camo for.
And honestly, he's almost blended in. Like he's not, but he's almost. He's a hell of a lot more blended than she was.
Oh, dude, I laughed so hard when he did that because I'm like, this is utter perfection.
But we do find out that Kiana's been having dinners and she's been having drinks with somebody named Sebastian. And Sebastian went ahead and sent the flowers, and Sebastian said, thank you for a great night and an even better morning. Ooh. We'll pick this up more later. We then get HBK on a picture of his voiceover as he's reading the tweets that are on the screen, and I shit you not, he's reading them because you can tell he didn't write the tweet. He's just reading the tweet. But the key part of this tweet to tell this story a little bit more for anybody who didn't watch the show, Roxanne Perez came out of the hospital on Friday, and they don't know if she's going to be medically cleared to compete at Stand and Deliver. So they are possibly going to be removing the NXT Women's Championship from her. But by putting the word possibly in the tweet, that they're going to possibly remove the title, I think we're getting a massive multi-woman ladder match. Because that's what it's leading to now. They're like, we're going to put together a women's ladder match for the Women's Championship. I think on the last show, right before the pay-per-view, right before Saturday Stand and Deliver, that Tuesday, we're going to get Roxanne Perez come out, and it's going to be the last thing that we see on the entire show. And she's going to be like, this is my title. You're not taking it from me. I will be at Stand and Deliver. I'm in the ladder match.
Like, I'll say this. I watched that opening video, and it's showing her fainting at the end. I'm like, that is absolute shit. Like, that feint job was just terrible. I'm sorry. Like,
it's reminiscent to the show. What it is, it was a callback that Shawn Michaels purposely did to his match against Owen Hart in '95.
Oh, that was terrible too.
It was, which is why it's so shit now. Even
and he's
in 2023.
the best seller of all. Like, Shawn Michaels is the greatest seller of all time. I talk about him when I talk Stardom shows, when I talk New Japan, talking about how a lot of people with their sell. I compare them. Everything is compared to Shawn Michaels for me personally. Mm-hmm. He couldn't even sell in that, and that's because that's and from listening to you and Astrid and other people who review NXT. A lot of people talk about how Shawn Michaels likes to call back to earlier parts of his career. Mm-hmm. This was not something you needed to call back to in your goddamn career.
You know, I said it before. There was an episode where they were doing this love story between right before Valentine's Day between Kiana and Brooks, and I swear Shawn Michaels had just seen the movie Hitch somehow. He'd apparently never seen it before because that entire episode. The entire love story between Kiana and all of them was essentially the plot to Hitch. So, yes, Shawn Michaels sees something, and he must have saw a tweet about the feint and was like, you know what, we can do this. And it makes storyline sense. She talked about how she had to give her all to beat, Mika Satomura. Satomura was going to push her to her limits. And she went ahead and she went as far as she can go, and she went beyond her limits, and she passed out after the match. I'm just going to do this now because it's a stupid segment we get a little bit later on. They have a doctor come in and say a bunch of nonsense that basically is, we can't give you an update because we don't know what's going on.
I wrote some stuff down in that. Where the flip is? Where was
While you're doing that, I'm going to read Barry's comment. Isn't it slightly egotistical making other relive his moments? To an extent, but then again, if you're the greatest to ever do it, and he's arguably in that list of the greatest to ever do it, some of your best moments, especially the ones that don't happen between 96 and 98, because that's when you were the biggest prick in the world. When you don't relive those moments, I think it's worthwhile, because he does have some of the greatest moments in wrestling history.
He does, but it just, I get it. I understand what Barry's saying.
I do too. You're not going to convince me that it's a bad thing to relive Shawn Michaels' moments.
History repeats itself.
He's my childhood hero. So at the end of the day, I like it. Oh yeah, absolute childhood.
Mine's Jeff Hardy, but that says something about me. Trust me. But like, arguably the greatest seller of all time, has some of the greatest. And remember, history repeats itself. Wrestling history is no joke on that one. But yeah. No.
So we had Sol Ruka come to the ring, and they went to commercial break as she made her entrance. And when we came back, we had the doctor talking about Roxanne, basically saying all of the tests are normal. There's nothing to say that there's something wrong. But since there's nothing to say that there's something wrong, there's obviously something wrong because they don't know what's wrong. And I'm just like, or nothing's wrong, and she just collapsed.
Yeah. Do you know why she collapsed? Because it was a goddamn script that told her to. That's the only reason. Let's move on. She's coming back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think so.
That's simple as that. We all know it.
I really think she's coming back in 2 weeks.
And I think at most, Michaels will be like, you have to sign a hold harmless agreement that anything that happens to you in this match, we are not responsible for something. It'll get something like that.
You mean 2002 against Triple H in the No Holds Barred match?
Again, it's exactly like I said. It's his history.
We then get Sol Ruka versus Zoe Stark in a rematch of a match that Sol Ruka's been trying to get for a while. And I call Sol Ruka the high energy Charlotte Flair, because she's getting better. She posted it on Twitter today. This is her 1 year anniversary with the company. She has had a grand total in this 1 year of 35 total matches. That's counting live events and television. She's had 35 matches. I don't know if there's many people who have never done this and aren't celebrities who are super trained to come in here and in 1 year. Barry says, script? It's real, damn it.
No, Scripps is later in the show.
Oh God, fucking Scripps. We're not talking long about Scripps.
I love that guy.
But tell me about your thoughts on Sol Ruka. Coming from watching a lot of women's wrestling, I'm going to treat you as my Astrid tonight. You watch a ton of women's wrestling in Stardom. What'd you think?
I was quite impressed by this girl. Like her in-ring ability is actually pretty impressive. She has a very strong opponent in Zoe Stark, who has had a lot longer in this business than she has. But like, was it her that did that like front flip into the cutter out of the corner?
Yes, that's her finish.
Yep. That, like, when a girl can do that with, okay, think about this. She's 35 matches into her career, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jade Cargill's 53 matches into her career. And Jade Cargill sucks worse than Sol Ruka ever will.
Yeah.
And she's been, and again, I don't want to slight Nightmare Factory or wherever she's working out and training, but the PC is doing the right thing, and they are making her I wouldn't, like, you put her up against the women of Stardom. She's even the earlier ones, maybe not the girls that are just kind of graduating right now, but like you put her against like the younger class of Stardom girls that graduated like a year ago, kind of. I still don't think she matches up to them, but I think she matches up very well with the girls that are like Mio Amasaki, Tina, Rina, those girls that are
are coming out of being the trainees now and are starting to get like they're taking their losses on the main cards and doing their match series. I think she matches up with them. Like she's again still young in her career, still has a lot more training to do to get better, to get better, to get better. And I think this girl can do that.
Yeah,
She
the
will
performance.
get better.
The Performance Center is showing its bones here, especially with this women's division, with the depth of this women's division. Yes, they're developing. Yes, they're not stars. Yes, they're not going to be at the tops levels. But you know what? For a woman who's just part of the division, just a person in the division, she is doing a fantastic job. Barry says Sol Ruka can do moves well. It's the little bits in between, the joining of the moves together she needs to work on. But she's got... Yeah, exactly. Yes. Perfect. That's a perfect explanation of Sol Ruka.
But that's joining those moves together is the biggest thing, is being in the business for so long. That is it. I watched in the independent scene here in Alberta, I have watched so many wrestlers go from like coming out of the Lance Storm Training Academy, one of the best trainers you could ever ask for in wrestling. Mm-hmm. And and they're still rigid. He trains them as best he can, but they still have to get in the ring. And she, again, 35 matches in, she's only 35 in. That's because you got to think, in this last couple of years or however long it's been, she's only 35 in. That is a minuscule amount. Look at Jericho. He's recorded every match. He's had thousands and thousands of matches.
Yep.
It takes a long time to get that perfect fluidity. I've watched people for years here in Alberta. Some of them take years to get there. Some are just that perfect natural talent. You can do it like that. But
some of them are Aaliyah and they never get it.
But I'm saying it's a fraction of the people that get it like that. There's more Aaliyahs than there is the ones that do get in this world.
God, I hope there's not more Aaliyahs. Oh,
no,
fucking hell.
I've seen a few. Trust me.
No, I agree. Sol did a really good job in this match. Zoe leads this match to a T. She does a fantastic job. I think that Stand and Deliver is Zoe's last match in NXT, and I believe she's headed to the main roster. She already has the sign-off of Charlotte Flair, the Queen, where she worked a live event match against Charlotte Flair, and she did fantastic. That finish from Zoe Stark is a thing of effing beauty. That thing looks brutal.
Your stack pins are after too. Like you don't see the stack pin a lot in professional wrestling.
Except Rhea Ripley. Ripley
again,
does it all the time.
Yeah, but that's it. But again, but you don't see it even from men. You don't see the stack pin a lot, other than maybe Wardlow.
Yep.
But in him, he just lets his opponent lay out and then stands on their chest. I love that she goes into it and then does the stack pin after. But I got to give huge props to Ruka. When she went over the rope in the corner and then came down with the MX out of the corner. Mwah!
Yep. So Sol has room to improve, and she needs to improve. But that being said, they've never put a title on her. They've never made her the face of a division.
No. That's
and
the
so
thing.
The comparisons to, a Sol Ruka versus a Jade Cargill is they decided to put a title and make her the face of a division. And I still think that that's a mistake.
Oh, giant mistake. And I'm praying to God she loses it on Wednesday, but that's for another show.
Speaking of shitty characters, Scripps is back. God, I thought this character was gone. I really thought this character was gone.
Reggie in a mask, bro. Come on.
Poor Reggie. And the worst part is they have 3. I counted them and listened again. I went back and listened to this promo a second time. There are 3 different voices that are used to cut this promo. Mm-hmm. And the promo still makes no sense. And I've listened to it 3 times.
Don't get me wrong. That was weird. I was insanely confused by the promo. But I watched the video from, I think it was an NXT house show of him doing that into the ring. And, dude.
Yep.
Holy crap. That was absolutely tremendous. And then what he did tonight, I think it was a similar spot. But, dude, I Reggie's got pure athleticism for days, maybe. I can't. I want to see what he does in ring.
I want to see more Reggie and less Scripps. That being said, we get the triple threat that I called last week between Alba Fire, Isla Dawn versus the Diamond Mine Ladies versus Casey Squared. This all comes about because we're looking for a women's tag team title match for the pay-per-view. Alba Fire has now been recruited by Isla Dawn has recruited Alba Fire, and they've been doing spooky mojo stuff. But again, finally, witches doing witchy things, getting in people's head, doing witchcraft and spells and things with nature and things like that. Not just pulling out a tarot card and going, ooh, I spooky Taylor Wilde, and I make a W for witch, but also for Wild, which is my last name. The match is okay. This match is broadly fine. I like that they gave it time. This thing went through an entire commercial break. They came back. It was a fun match. I enjoyed it. Tatum Paxley turns heel on Ivy Nile as Ivy's going to make the tag. Tatum walks away, saying we were never a team. And Ivy Nile gets booted to the outside. The match continues. It looks like KC Squared's going to hit the victory with their finish. But Alba Fire pushes Katana Chance off the top rope. Caden Carter gets hit. They hit their finish on... No, Caden Carter gets moved to the outside. Ivy Nile gets kicked in the gut by Tatum Paxley, thrown in the ring, and Isla Dawn and Alba Fire hit their finish, and they get the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. This is the other match I really, really enjoyed on this show. Like, these 6 women, I thought, for as chaotic as it was, did a great job. And the best thing about this, they did it Stardom style. That all 3 teams had a person in the ring. It's the one thing that pisses me off with AEW and New Japan when they don't have all the teams in the ring at one time on a multi-team match. Why would you ever take anyone other than your partner?
Yeah. I like how it never felt like... Sometimes a triple threat match, and a tag team triple threat, the same thing. Sometimes it feels like a triple threat match. There's 2 people in the ring and one rolls to the outside. They didn't do as much of that in this match.
Yeah.
Not that I can recall. It seemed to be pretty fluid with multiple people in the ring. Nobody just taking a breather on the outside for 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, I really was impressed. Like, I'm never gonna call her by the name they give her, Casey Catanzaro. I will always call her that because I was a fan of her from Ninja Warrior. I think this girl is absolutely tremendous. Her pure athleticism alone is absolutely fire. And her partner, Caden Carter, she's like, I think she's awesome. For everything I've watched of her, I think she's absolutely awesome. Again, still has a ways to go. Don't get me wrong.
The less Casey Squared onto my TV, the better.
I like these 2. We could have differing opinions, right?
Absolutely.
And
opinions are like a bumhole. Everybody's got one.
Yeah, but I really like it. But dude, like Fire and Dawn, dude, those two have something. They really do. Their gimmick works. That finisher they got, the backstabber into the splash. Like, I'm down for all of it, man.
Yeah, I was very excited to see that as a finish. That was an impressive finish that makes sense. You do the backstabber, you hold on to them, you do the splash onto the knees. It's gonna hurt like hell. That makes sense as a wrestling move.
100%. 100%. I absolutely love that. Give me more of this team. I think they're taking the titles at Stand and Deliver.
There's no way they're not. There's no way they're losing.
It would be crazy for hit my mic every goddamn time I move my hand. But it'd be crazy for them not to win the titles.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah,
I think it'd be crazy. We then have Ilya Dragunov coming to the ring, and he's marching and he's doing his conducting. But first, when we come back from the break, we have Tony D'Angelo and Stax backstage talking to Braun Breaker. I'll admit it, Braun Breaker made me laugh a little bit here.
He did, dude. He was good.
Normally, he's not a great promo, but this one was really good. He starts talking about The Godfather, and he starts talking about all these other mob movies.
Sopranos.
The Sopranos. It was absolutely fantastic. And to the point where he basically just irritates them enough that he just walks away and they don't care.
Yeah, because it's like, well, we're gonna take him outside. We're gonna take him out to the parking lot and hit him in the knee. And I'm like, and all I can think of is
NXT. They don't even
NXT
have to do anything to him. They just need to take him outside of the parking lot.
It's the most
dangerous place in the world.
Yes, and just all I could think was Tommaso Ciampa. All I could think of Aleister Black. All I could think of was it Hideo Itami, if you want to call him
Roderick Strong. Yeah,
Roderick Strong. All the people that have been taken out and attacked in a parking lot mysteriously.
Nikita Lyons, Wendy Chu. Oh yeah. Legado del Fantasma got kidnapped 3 times to form Legado del Fantasma. They started kidnapping people.
And then he kidnapped them in the parking lot to take them off to SmackDown.
Yeah. It was great. Braun walks away and Tony D'Angelo says, we need to add gold. I feel like we need some gold. And Stacks says, all right, you're going to go for the NXT Championship, whoever wins between Braun and Mello? He's like, no. I said, we need gold. Stacks is like, huh? I'm a dummy. I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, you proved yourself. You're a good man. You're the underboss. We're going to go for the tag team titles. And I'm like, fine. It gives Tony D'Angelo something to do. It gets him away from the North American title, which he's been involved with for a while, but hasn't won, and it doesn't seem like they're going to put it on him. And it keeps him away from the title picture, because at this point, I don't want to see him eating losses to Carmelo Hayes. As Hayes starts his title run, hopefully, post and deliver.
And nothing against Gallus, who I raved about them. They're actually tremendous. I can see Tony and Stacks taking it as Stand and Deliver just because they are an overact within the company, and you could do a lot with them with those titles to kind of go forward. And you could have more matches with Gallus. Imagine putting Pretty Deadly versus Tony and Stacks. Like that would be. I would enjoy that.
How about this one? What if you bring Gallus to the main roster and you have Gallus versus Drew McIntyre and Sheamus? What if you have Gallus versus Imperium? Gallus versus the Usos.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Gallus versus the Street Profits.
Against American Alpha.
I told you, we can't do that anymore. They stole Otis away.
Okay, maybe miraculously Jason Jordan will come back and we'll get their old team.
I would love it if Jason came back even for one night. I feel so bad for him because Gallus versus the Brawling Bruce Parrish down here.
Yes, Parrish. I agree with you.
I feel bad for Jason Jordan because we hated him for good reason before he left. And then he got that neck injury and we're all like... It seems like everybody's on the same page of being like, that's a shame. We kind of liked hating you. Can you come back?
I liked him when he was teamed with Gable. It's just when he split from Gable is when it was like, oh, you suck now.
Yeah, it wasn't great. We now get Ilya Dragunov hitting the ring. He has a great promo with JD. He calls out JD McDonough after he does his conducting of his theme song. Mm-hmm. And for those who say that you can't use classical music as wrestling themes, I give you Ilya Dragunov, and I give you the original Imperium theme, and I say, there.
Tim Thatcher uses that theme in Pro Wrestling Noah every time he comes out.
Yeah, because isn't that the original Ringkamp theme?
Yeah, that's the Ringkamp music. And Gunther brought it into WWE, and then again they've moved on. They
kind of moved on from it.
It's an evolution of the character,
which again is fine. Mm-hmm. But we get Ilya Dragunov calling out JD McDouchebag. JD McDouchebag obliges and comes out. They go back and forth for the first 5 minutes of this promo, having this really great spirited debate. JD McDouchebag saying that they're more alike than they are separate. That they're two sides of the same coin. Mm-hmm. Ilya saying, no, we're not. You're a bad guy. I'm a good guy. You want to hurt people. I just want to win. And I go, Ilya, you do remember your match with Walter before he became Gunther? The match that Dave Meltzer said was almost too violent to even rate before giving it 5 stars. Meltzer now, mind you, Meltzer gave Mox versus Page 5 stars with no issues. But he almost didn't rate Walter versus Ilya Dragunov. Just putting it out there.
Okay, so I get what he means by the violence, because
I do too.
it's two different kinds of violence.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mox Page one, that was just a match I went and took a shit during because I just didn't give two fucks. You watch Walter versus Ilya, that's a kind of violence that you're like, you can't turn away from.
Yeah. The thing with, and I'll give this to Page versus Mox. It's not for me, but there's a portion of the wrestling audience that thoroughly enjoys. We're not going to read that one, but yes.
I agree with you.
I agree with you, Parrish. But I know that there's a portion of the audience that thoroughly enjoys hardcore wrestling to the CZW level that Moxley and Page went to.
Fuck no.
It's not for me, but there's a large portion of the audience that enjoys something like that. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Wrestling is a variety show. So if people enjoy that, it should be on your card. The AEW audience enjoys that, so they should be putting matches like that on their card. Mm-hmm. Especially if you can get people like Moxley and Page to agree to the crazy dumb stuff that they do in those matches. Mm-hmm. That being said, we're not an AEW show. We're going to come back. These guys eventually start fighting. They announced the match for next week. I thought this was going to be a match for Stand and Deliver, but I have a feeling that they're going to end up in a spot on the Stand and Deliver card that we'll talk about when we get to it, because they announced some things going forth.
But this brawl went all night long.
It did continue for the next few segments, which again is one of the beautiful things I love about NXT and their television programming, is that things don't happen in a vacuum. If something happens in the ring and it spills backstage, more often than not, it's going to spill into some other portion of the show, which this did. What did you think of the beginning of this? The in-ring segment, the promo battle
promos.
Back and forth?
Both these guys, I know you have a hate on for JD.
I do.
I very much like this guy early on. He's the human behind it all is kind of a piece of shit. Don't get me wrong, but for some of the shit he's been accused of.
But yes, the Irish Ace, the trainee of Finn Balor, put him in ultra talented.
I have issues with it, but he's so good, and I want to see him in a Dragunov. I'm going to be watching NXT next week for this one reason. I'll be watching when I get home from work, but dude.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Had such an entertaining back and forth, and I don't think this was as scripted as other promos would be, because these two, again, they have a rapport to each other. They probably had their bullet points going out there, because both these two have proven they can do promos in the past. This felt natural, felt like a real strong back and forth.
They've both worked with Shawn Michaels on television programming before, because for those who don't know, Shawn Michaels was instrumental in being the Triple H of NXT UK. Mm-hmm. And yes, Parrish is right. JD was accused and the cases were thrown out due to lack of evidence. I wholeheartedly agree. I've had other issues with JD McDonough beyond just those facts.
Like I said, what he is accused of. I
agree. I agree. The cases were thrown out. He deserves the benefit of the doubt. Mm-hmm. That being said, he's a wonderful in-ring talent. I just prefer to put my money elsewhere. Mm-hmm. But he's ultra talented. You can't deny the talent. He on the microphone, he's money. In the ring, he's money. But I get to call him JD McDouchebag because they gave him a funny name, and it's just fun to do.
It works well to make fun of him. I can tell you that for sure.
Mackenzie Mitchell's backstage with Pretty Deadly, where they decide they're going to be the host of Stand and Deliver, and I decided at this point that we're not doing a watch along, because I cannot suffer through being on the air.
We're going to have a promo segment all through the pre-show. Before and after every match, there's going to be some kind of segment with Pretty Deadly, and it's going to suck.
The one thing I'll say is, unlike WrestleMania, these shows are about 2.5, 3 hours. I think we're only going to see them 2 or 3 times the entire time. I don't watch the pre-show for the most part because there's no wrestling on the pre-show. Mm-hmm. And if there's no wrestling on the pre-show, I'm not watching it. mean, yeah, we can get into that another day. Performance side, he's amazing, and he does have a funny head shape. He really does. Have a funny head shape. We have Wesley walking through the backstage area, getting ready for his open challenge, where he runs into the brawling men of JD McDonough and Ilya Dragunov. He even starts saying some stuff to JD McDonough and gets a couple shots in before he gets involved with the two of them. And then he gets shoved to the outside and says, "No, you need to go to the ring. You can't be back here." We'll see how well that worked out.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
We get but we go back to commercial. When we come back, we have Tia Hale, the worst thing on NXT television. Ever.
Did you not see the Rhea Ripley trailer?
I did. I just don't talk about him.
That was absolute shite.
Oh, I love that. Her and John Cena talking about her getting the main event. If this is WWE's way of saying that Kevin and Sami are opening WrestleMania Night 1 and we're not getting them as the main event, I'm a little irritated because Cena says directly in this, "Are you not ready to main event WrestleMania?"
Hey, but WWE sometimes has 4 main events on one night. Come on.
Yeah, but with the 2-night WrestleManias, there's typically a men's and a women's main event, and especially with the two Royal Rumble winners, it would make sense that if the Royal Rumble guarantees you a WrestleMania main event, that Charlotte and Rhea would main event Night 1.
I agree. I will say this: the only thing is, the only reason I said it was shit is because comparatively to the 2005 Los Angeles Mania that had all those amazing trailers,
they've had really good ones. They have the Miz and Maurice doing Top Gun. They have Bianca and Montez doing Titanic.
Yeah, wasn't those okay?
No, they've had some really good ones this year. I've thoroughly enjoyed these ones. I mean, they weren't as the ones that they're doing now aren't as iconic as.
I don't even know what that was from.
It's Stranger Things.
Oh, okay. Again, a show I never watched.
Yeah, it's season 1 of Stranger Things. It's either season 1 or season 2 of Stranger Things.
Yeah, I never watched it.
I agree. Theory does need to do a mockery of one of the John Cena movies. I would do the Marine, since it's footage that you own, you can actually use it. I would do the Marine, but that's just me.
God, that would be so good.
Tia Hale and Tyler Bate are still backstage watching. They get asked by Andre Chase, the other Andre C on this show, to go ahead and excuse themselves for a minute while he talks to Duke Hudson. And they have a back and forth, and Duke talks about how, it should be about the wins and losses. And Andre goes into a long speech about how, yes, it should always be about the wins and losses. But then on Chase University was down, and Chase University is all about finding the place that you belong. And he's like, Duke, you found that place that you belong. You've become a better person, and you found yourself a reason to be here. And you care about the wins and losses. You don't care about getting your head shaved by Cameron Grimes and losing a poker match. This, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, wow, Andre Chase is making some sense. And then in the background, you start seeing the yellow mask of the Schism.
That creeped me out. That creeped me out so much. I was like, please don't murder anybody.
They had the great Schism moment where I wasn't sure which. Originally in my notes I write Schism. But then after Andre Chase walks away and it's just Duke Hudson back there, we see the person walk forward, and is the ever lovely, talented Ava Raine. Remember, 4 roots, 1 tree. The Schism is right. And she just goes ahead and leaves the mask and walks away.
Mm-hmm.
Just great storytelling. Is Duke Hudson going to become another member of the Schism? Is it just a way to try to dig further into trying to destroy Chase U? Who knows? Parrish is coming up with even more movies. In the next 2 weeks, I don't think we're going to get any more. I think we're good. But he does give a couple
that Ray and Braun one, though. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, Gable and Otis doing Tommy Boy?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Please do it. Parrish, why aren't you writing for WWE? Come on.
No. Don't be telling him that. Yeah. So we get Grayson on Twitter, and he has a Twitter post of a video of him saying, hey Johnny, I'm at your house. I'm gonna go to the door to make sure that nobody can enter your home. Make sure your door's locked. And he goes over to Johnny Gargano's house, and we cut. But I love it. It gives a reason because he's on his phone and he's on social media, so it's not so weird and out of place that a camera crew is with him. It's not like he stole a camera crew and was like, we're going to Johnny Gargano's house. It's, I'm filming it on my own, on my phone.
Yeah, because I think that was to show, hey, this is what you missed when we were showing to Gargano.
Yep. But again, it's great because it gives a little bit more backstory. It gives us a reason to care. And they're building a match within 2 to 3 weeks with minimal stuff that they can do. This is all based off of Grayson Waller attacking Johnny Gargano to make a name for himself 15 months ago. And they don't have a lot of time to tell a story. So like, look, we know the little bit of story we have. We're just going to go ahead and push it and make people care. And guess what? People are going to care. And that's going to be a banger.
Yep.
The fight for the open challenge begins backstage. Wesley comes to the ring. So there's a big crew of people. It includes Oro Mensah, the biggest disappointment in NXT history, Quincy. Quincy used to be my spirit animal until I found out that he's absolutely terrible and horrible. And he's just not... Basically, everything he portrays in the ring is all the things he doesn't believe in, which makes it even worse. We see Anofe and Blade. We see Dante Chen, Damon Kemp, somebody named Tavon Heights. I saw Zion Quinn and Von Wagner. There were a few other people that I didn't notice. Axiom squirts free, but he's attacked by Scripps.
Scripps. No
Scripps. Less Scripps, better. Things have been better since Scripps went away. Scripps needs to stay away.
Scripps.
No.
Scripps.
I can mute you, and unlike Parrish, you can't unmute.
Oh, boo.
We then get JD McDonough and Ilya Dragunov coming back through, and JD blasts Wesley, and then they brawl back to the outside with the bigger brawl that's already happening, and then Wesley says screw it, and he goes ahead and does a big dive on top of everybody, and no open challenge.
That's when I went, mother... I screamed MFer, and I was very annoyed because, like, you sending me that thing, I went in and watched the other couple other of the promos, and I was excited to see because like Wesley versus Dijak, that match was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
I wanted to see Wesley because he is the better version of Trey Miguel, in my opinion.
Everybody's the better version of Trey Miguel.
Piece of shit, but
well,
anyways.
Zach is the word. Trey's a little bit better.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
But I wanted to see him goddamn wrestle, and
no wrestle.
And I got the next match thing.
Yeah. So we get Dragon Lee backstage with Mackenzie Mitchell next, and Dragon Lee says that he wants to show that Dragon Lee is special. He says he wants to bring the spirit of Lucha Libre to NXT, and I'm like, as much as I'm excited to have Dragon Lee here, Dragon Lee is cutting the same promos that we heard from El Hijo de Fantasma before he turned heel and became Santos Escobar. And I'm like, how many times can we bring in a masked Spanish wrestler, unmask them, and go, ta-da! Lucha Libre!
Honestly, they should just keep the mask on.
I don't think they're going to remove Dragon Lee's mask. I don't think he'd allow it. I'm just saying... Oh, by the way, yes, we have... couple comments from Barry, the ones that I missed while we were talking about things. Spoiler: Pretty Deadly are doing Stand and Deliver, dressed as 1980s pop act Adam Ant, and his hit song Stand and Deliver will be played. He can guarantee it.
Oh.
And then he can picture Gallus and Pretty Deadly doing The Wizard of Oz, with Gallus playing the Lion and the Tin Man, and Pretty Deadly fighting over which one of them can play Dorothy.
Yes. Give me more. Come on, I love this.
We got the promo package for Apollo Crews versus Dabba-Kato, which is going to be happening next. And that was nice. It's a nice video package. It explains the Commander
nice part of this whole thing.
Yeah. And the match is good, but we'll get to that. We got JC Jane backstage, and she's got her arm in a sling. And she says that a minute into the match, she separated her shoulder. And I'm like, huh. It didn't feel that way watching the match. But then again, the match did end relatively weirdly. And me and Ash were like, is that the finish? Is that supposed to be the finish? We now learned that they called an audible in the ring and got out of there before she did any major damage to her shoulder. Mm-hmm. It explains why that match was so short. And they're not going to a last woman standing a stand and deliver. They're doing something else because JC Jane is apparently legitimately hurt. JC, get well soon. I want you to come back, even though I think you're lesser than Gigi Dolan. This is the thing between me and Astrid. Astrid likes JC Jane. I think Gigi Dolan's better. We're going to see what happens.
Go JC Jane, yo. No, I'm all about Gigi Dolan. I'm with you.
She also says that she promises to break Gigi's heart and her face when she returns.
That. I love that line.
Yeah, it was great. Because of the fact that Gigi Dolan is now wearing hearts on her face, which is the reason for this. She's got these little, like...
Oh, I thought she was doing a shout out to Mina Shirakawa.
Nope, she's got these little hearts underneath her left eye.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We then get Apollo Crews versus Dabba-Kato, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun with this.
Shit.
I enjoyed this.
Dabba-Kato sucked.
Dabba-Kato is so good. I love him.
He's better than Omos. That's for goddamn sure. But I think
but that doesn't take
better than Omos.
I mean, Jade Cargill's better than Omos. She is.
Maybe not.
She is. I'd rather watch Jade Cargill than watch Omos. I mean, maybe it's just because Jade Cargill's.
Yeah, I would rather watch Jade Cargill than Omos.
Saying.
Dude, this guy was so I can see brilliance in this guy, and if they keep training him and don't just shoot him off to the main roster right away,
they won't. They've learned from their mistakes.
Yeah,
he was handpicked by Shane McMahon to be Dabba-Kato for Raw Underground. It didn't, and then Raw Underground went away.
Yeah,
and then we're like, well, we've brought him up to the main roster now, so we've got to do something with him. So they paired him with Apollo, and he basically never wrestled, and he just stood out there as Commander Aziz for Apollo during his run, and it was fine. And he was learning from Apollo Crews, and he was probably learning backstage and learning from people. There's footage of him with an Undertaker documentary, learning from the Undertaker at the Performance Center, learning how to be a big guy wrestler from the Undertaker one night when Undertaker was there.
That's one of the best people you can learn from if you're a big dude.
He's got talent. His in-ring wrestling isn't awful, but like Sol Ruka, there's just some missing gaps in some of the things. But you know what? At least he can have a match that feels legitimate. I'd rather quit. Ooh. I would love to see the thing that makes Parrish quit beer. But anyways,
that stuff.
I thought this was great. I thought Dabba-Kato has gotten so much better in the ring since the last few times we saw him. I think he's improving. I like the character. I like the way they're telling the story. And that sit-out powerbomb is fantastic.
Hey, dude. Okay, like I said, I thought this match wasn't shit. I'll pull that back. It wasn't. It's not one of the worst matches. Typical, yeah.
Typical officer. He stands by when people fight. Yeah, no, makes sense.
But he did fine in this match. Like he there was nothing inherently offensive like sometimes when I watch Jade Cargill, but it was the transitioning between stuff. You could see him trying to you could see Crews having to slow down. Yeah. That was the biggest thing for me is I've watched Crews work with better guys, even like you, Carmelo. Both of them moved. You didn't need to slow down because each one knew they could be there for the next one's big thing. Or he had to slow down. That dive to the outside right at the start, you see him kind of having to halter for a second to let Dabba-Kato get into the position, and those weird little things you see that I watch because again I've watched a lot of New Japan and I watch Stardom where I see the transition. I see the same thing with the Lions in New Japan. Mm-hmm. He's a young lion as much as he's not. He is. In that he will get better. I see the brilliance in what this guy can be because for as big as he is, he's got he's got some great athleticism to him that I think he could be really one of the better big men in the business if they just give him time.
Yeah, he's not
powerbomb. Yes,
he's not walk to spot do thing. Walk to spot do thing. Mm-hmm. He's having a wrestling match, which I think is part of it.
It's just again, it's like.
It's a little clunky.
It will get there. I don't want to say shit, but for me, it's after. I think I was bitter not getting the Wes Lee match.
Yeah,
and then having seen the greatness that is Apollo Crews and I've seen him have some tremendous matches. To see him have to hold back almost.
I think
where that my bitterness to this match comes from.
I think part of the enjoyment for this for me is the telling of the whole story. And yes, Apollo Crews slowed down, but I think that they conveniently wrapped a storyline reason why Apollo Crews slowed down, being that Apollo Crews just wants a piece of him. He doesn't want to have a wrestling match. Apollo Crews wants to have a fight. He wants to fight him. And so Apollo Crews slowing down and doing more stuff to make Omos look good, to make Dabba-Kato look better, is, in my mind, it was a positive because of the fact that it gave you a reason why Apollo Crews wasn't being Apollo Crews. And they told you in the match, Apollo Crews is seeing red. Apollo Crews just wants a piece of Dabo. It's not about winning. It's not about a wrestling match. It wasn't about any of that. It was about Apollo Crews getting his in on Dabba-Kato, a man who turned on him, who he thought was his friend.
Yeah, very much.
And I think with that it makes sense, and I think that's why I had so much fun with it, is because, again, you're telling a story through a match. The match is far less important than the storyline being told throughout the match. And they did a good job of getting that point across and letting Dabba-Kato get a dominant win at the end. Slamming him down with a choke slam onto the stairs, and then that sit-out powerbomb, which looks fantastic because of how big he is. I agree. I think a heel Apollo Crews stable with a no-fay and blade. I don't even know if you necessarily need a girl. I honestly just think a heel stable with a no-fay and blade might be enough, because it would give those two a little bit of edge and a little bit of something, because Team BBC is not working for me. That's an in-joke. I normally don't finish that, but Ashley's not here, so I'm going to do it anyways. We then get Wesley and HBK, and this is NXT Anonymous, showing us the backstage stuff. And Wesley is being told by Shawn Michaels that the chaos of the open challenges needs to stop, that he has nothing to prove. And Wesley says, no, I have to prove everything. I have to go out there every day and do these open challenges. Because I have to prove that I'm worthy of being this champion. I have to prove it just like you had to go out there and prove it, that you were the champ. And I go, HBK, in his face run or his heel run, would never in a million years have been doing weekly open challenges, you dumb son of a bitch. Do you not know who you're talking to?
He should have compared himself to John Cena.
He really should have, because that would have made a lot of sense. He compared
the man
himself
who already
to
was at the top.
He compared himself to HBK, and I'm like, nope, I don't buy that one bit, Wesley. Sorry, buddy. That being said, he says that he wants the 10 best. He wants 10 guys at Stand and Deliver. Shawn Michaels is like, yeah, no, can't give you 10. I'll give you 5. You can
No. His exact words, I'll give you half of 10, and says it'll be a 5-way including you. So that's all. He's not even giving him half. He's only giving him 4.
Well, I yes and no. I mean, he's giving him. You know what? For Shawn Michaels to do math after all the concussions he's had, he got pretty close to half. I'm not happy for it. Yeah. My theory on this match is we're gonna get Dragon Lee, Axiom, JD McDonough, and Ilya Dragunov. That's who I think is going to be in this match.
I think it's Axiom, Scripps, JD, and Ilya.
Do we really need Scripps there to take the pinfall? Like we have Axiom in there already. Do we really need Scripps there too?
Scripps.
No
Scripps.
We get Kiana and Brooks backstage. Kiana wants her tag team partner to be out there with her for her match. I'm assuming because she wants her tag team partner to help her cheat to win. But Fallon's nowhere to be found. They've apparently called her 8-9 times. I don't know where she went. She was at the Performance Center the night before. I don't know why she saw the contract. Like, they broke in after hours, saw the contract. Why were they not there first thing in the morning to confront Kiana? Why did they wait till halfway through?
Because they were fucking? I don't know.
Oh, we got a friend, My Life 048. Thank you for joining.
Chris! How you doing, brother? Okay. It's my buddy Chris. How you doing, brother?
He says, I haven't watched NXT in so long. Well, you know what? It's always a great time to get back in.
Either.
They've gotten rid of the 2.0. They're basically back to black and gold. It's more like white and gold. But they have the same... They're getting back to the same feel.
They're close.
They're getting back to the same feel. They're trying to get that same feeling back.
Yeah.
Brooks says he wants to go out there. He'll go out there with her instead. And she says nope. And she just walks away, leaving him hanging as he tried to give her a good luck kiss.
Yeah.
This poor bastard.
He got no game. I don't either.
He's
but...
off. He's off. He's
I got
awful.
none either, but yeah.
In another time, in another place, on another TV show, I did when they were doing the dating video portion for him, where they spent most of the night trying to film his dating profile, like a video dating profile.
Yeah.
I pre-recorded before the show about 10 cheesy, cringy pickup lines, and I had them as just little audio drops. And I dropped them in throughout the NXT broadcast between me, Astrid, and Cody in another life on another channel. And it was hysterical. And that story's been going on so long that it's been a long time since I've not been a name redacted. And they're still telling this godforsaken story. We got Gigi and Kiana. This was a relatively quick match. I think it was the fastest of the women's matches. Kiana from accounting is fine. She's not good. She's not bad.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to say it because you watch Taryn on a regular basis.
Yes.
So we've been calling her this since, again, another time in another place. We've been calling her Kiana from accounting because it's essentially the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a bot, so if you want to go ahead and do anything in there, you can go ahead and follow the bot. I suggest not. What did you think of Kiana James taking a quick L to Gigi Dolan, setting up the ladder match?
Didn't surprise me. It's just how fast it was is what surprised me. That I literally have one note for the match, and that's the goddamn finish. That abdominal driver that she does, like she sets up an abdominal stretch and then turns it into a driver.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
I've never seen that move done myself, ever in recent memory. I loved it. I was like, that's a creative new finisher. Give it.
Yeah,
I'm down with that.
And for the first time, we got Gigi Dolan's new music, and it's fine.
Oh, I do have another note. Dolan did a everything. Gigi is evil, or an everything is Gigi. It's the STO.
Yeah,
which is evil finisher. So
yes.
I always write that down when I see those in matches.
Post match, we have Isla and Alba come down and they pull Kiana out of the ring and they start beating her down until Brooks runs out to make the save.
I literally have it as written. That dude shows up.
Yep. Brooks Jensen from JBBJ, Brooks Jensen and Josh Briggs. JBBJ.
I can't remember his name. Oh, Jesus.
He's honestly is just that dude.
Oh.
Basically, the finale of the show, for the most part, we get Johnny Gargano arriving home, and he's running up the stairs to go see Candice and Quill, and lo and behold, hiding in the shadows in a black hoodie is Grayson Waller, and he attacks him. And they have... Oh, we got another bot. That's so nice. Yeah, I know, Barry. Some people are so very kind, offering you all that at bargain prices. I wholeheartedly agree. We got 2 of them.
Parrish, start blocking them, man. Jesus.
I don't have access to the OLE back end, so I can't do anything about it. No, Barry doesn't.
Parrish does.
Oh, Parrish does, but I don't know. He's fine. He's busy doing something. There was a great ball. No, you're not. You're not a bot.
We know you're not a bot, Chris. I know you aren't. I know for sure you're not.
You didn't offer us followers, videos, views, and chat bots, though. If you do offer us all those, you'll get blocked just like
You're my favorite real-life robot, Chris. Don't worry.
What did you think of the brawl? Because I thought this was great.
It was great. Like, dude, he curb stomped him into the dirt.
Yeah.
Hit him with a rake. Dude, I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. It was a fun use of a very small window.
I'll say this, though. Gargano has shitty landscaping. Or he's getting it re-landscaped right now. One of the two.
I honestly think that this is a house that they just have in Florida.
100%.
Because we all know Johnny Gargano lives in Cleveland, and all of a sudden he's able to get to his home in less than 2 hours. So obviously it's someplace in Florida. So this is just a place he rents when he's here working at NXT.
It's the rental property.
It's the NXT rental property is what it honestly is. WWE booking of Johnny Gargano for NXT WrestleMania. Really? Tell me more about why, because I thought that was great. I think it was a great way to do it. Again, I'm disappointed.
What's he going to do on the main roster? That's the biggest question.
Like, he didn't have anything to do. So Sean was like, hey, can I borrow Johnny? We have a good idea for him. And Triple H was like, I'm not doing a WrestleMania weekend. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, he just simply winning.
Again, in opinion, I'm okay with it because at least he's doing something on WrestleMania weekend instead of jobbing out in a battle royal.
The other thing I like about it is, going back, because I know they weren't here. All right, we got a couple of things. Barry, I don't like when they use small children in these segments. I agree. I wasn't a huge fan of Candice bringing Quill out to the staircase and having it. That being said, it's his own kid. This is obviously something that the three of them talked about. 4 if you count Triple H and Shawn Michaels, probably 4 or 5 if you count those people. But this is obviously something that Candice was well aware of. She knew to stay well away until it was all over. It's not the greatest. Was to WrestleMania to WrestleMania. I get that. I like how they're at least bringing in the idea that when he left and why he came back to the main roster.
It was unfinished.
And he says, a part of me was like, this is unfinished. I wanted to come back to NXT, but I wanted to do something else. They at least gave a reason. Oh, it's on my Twitch. That's why. Oh.
Yeah, that's why. Oh, bots. But yeah, again, I thought great segment to work into getting us what's going to be, I think, the standout match on the pay-per-view other than the 5-way. But of the singles matches, I think this is going to be the standout. Carmelo's going to hit it out of the park with Braun, but this has the potential to steal the entire dang show.
Yeah, it really does. It's going to be a fun match. I'm very excited for it. I am. Now that I realize it's on my end, I'm taking care of the bots. So there we go. But it is what it is. Like Barry says, I don't like it when they use the small kids. The exception I have here is Quill was never anywhere near anything that was going on.
They're up always on the step. Yeah.
He was always on the steps until Grayson was gone, and then she came down to the thing. Also, I mean, Candice LeRae, we've seen what she can do on the indies. She could have kicked Grayson Waller's ass on her own.
Yeah, very much so.
And plus, Mama Bear, on top of just being the Poison Pixie and, part of the world's cutest tag team, before the other part of the world's cutest tag team was an absolute
very ugly.
But, as all the work that she did on the indies and all the great things she did there, a Mama Bear Candice LeRae, if Grayson Waller had done anything towards her kid, would have been one of the best things in the world. Mm. We get the Stand and Deliver card as it stands now. There are 5 matches on this card as we know of. We have the Wesley Fatal 5-Way. We have Alba Fire and Isla Dawn versus Fallon and Kiana James for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. The Wesley Fatal 5-Way is for the North American title. We have Johnny versus Grayson Waller. We have Braun Breaker versus Carmelo Hayes in the main event for the NXT Championship, where hopefully Braun Breaker will finally lose that championship. And the next night on Raw, he will go ahead and debut, hopefully facing Austin Theory for the U.S. title and beating Austin Theory. That's what I would do with him. My life. This is it's on WrestleMania Saturday. It is at 1:00 p.m. on WrestleMania Saturday.
Eastern, right?
Yes, Eastern time. So,
okay.
So log that down for
us
time.
out in Alberta. 11 for us in Alberta.
There you go. And we also have the women's ladder match for the NXT Women's Championship. It has an unknown amount of participants, and I'm assuming one of them is going to be Roxanne Perez herself. Right now we have Zoe Stark and Gigi Dolan announced. I can see Lyra Valkyria, who cut a promo about being the NXT Women's Champion, added to this match. Tiffany Stratton was already going to be the person who was going to be taking on the winner of Miko Satomura versus Roxanne Perez. The storytelling at least was leading that way, so I assume she's going to be part of this match. I also wouldn't be surprised to see
A returning Taya Valkyrie.
No.
Or sorry, what was her name?
I think Taya Valkyrie has something to do tomorrow night.
Yeah, it doesn't mean she can't come in a week.
If she's there tomorrow night, she is absolutely not showing up for Stand and Deliver.
If she signs a contract.
Even if she did a one-off, there's no way. Honestly, if she was coming back, she sure as hell ain't coming back to NXT. Let's just put it that way. She might come back to main roster. She certainly wouldn't come back to NXT.
Mm-hmm.
We then have the one match announced for next week, which is JD McDonough versus Ilya Dragunov. We get Fallon Henley and Josh Briggs finally showing up.
Yes, this gave me my favorite line of the entire goddamn show. You saw the Bear movie without me?
Yes. He was dressed like a tree still, so Brooks, for some stupid reason, thought he saw a cocaine bear.
Yeah, and then he goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'll watch it with you again. Watch it again with you." And I'm like, "Yes, I love this so goddamn much."
Fallon and Briggs still don't drop the bomb. I don't understand why they didn't drop the bomb. They still didn't do it. Kiana's mad at her
been all day.
Yeah, I know. Where were you all day? Sometimes not everything in NXT makes sense, and it's almost always with this stupid storyline, and I hate it forever. You got my life saying, can you imagine being in LA for WrestleMania, going to NXT, and then 2 to 3 hours to go to NXT, and then to SoFi Stadium, which is like 45 minutes away. Former guest on the show, Victor Taylor Perry, the founder and the teacher who runs the wrestling club that we hear so much about on the interwebs, on Twitter, with all the wonderful things he does for that wonderful community in New York. He is taking a group of 5 students to NXT Stand and Deliver, and then they are going to WrestleMania. He is going to both nights of WrestleMania. He is having a ball. He's taking a bunch of students. It's a WrestleMania road trip for the ages. These kids are going to have the time of their life. Go ahead and give him a follow on Twitter at Wallflower Perry. He is a fantastic person doing great things to give the youth the love of wrestling. But again, not only does he love NXT and Carmelo Hayes, but he loves the main roster and the Usos and the Bloodline story. Not only that, he loves him some AEW with a bunch of the stuff they do. Also, he's been showing the kids the indie scene. He's been showing the kids Stardom lately. He's been showing the kids New Japan. He is teaching these kids to be worldwide wrestling fans. They don't love one thing. They're being taught to watch everything. These kids are being taught the right way by a man who truly loves wrestling in all of its forms. So go ahead and give him a follow. He's doing great things, because the next generation of fans don't need to be fans who are tribalistic. We don't need more fans who are sitting here and going, I plant my flag for WWE, or I plant my flag for AEW, or I plant my flag for New Japan. No, you watch it all. If you enjoy it, watch it. If you don't enjoy it, shut up and don't say anything.
Pretty much. Enjoy what you enjoy, man. Like, Kate, I've been away from the NXT and WWE for a long time, but I watched that main event from Elimination Chamber, and it made me interested. I was like, oh, it's getting better. And they lost me for a while, but I don't hate on it. It's still great. There's still great product and everything. There's stuff I hate about AEW, and I love them. There's stuff about New Japan and Stardom that I hate, and I love them. It's what you love. Love what you love, man. It's all it is.
The contract signing comes up. This is the final piece of the show before we go ahead and say our goodbyes. The contract signing was great. It's a mutual appreciation society. These two guys are... This is the kind of thing... I forget who said it on a podcast I heard years ago. Why would you go ahead and call your opponent dumb? Or why would you call them worse than you? You want to know what happens when you tell an opponent that they suck? When you beat them, you get nothing out of it. Who are you if you beat somebody who sucks?
John Cena.
No, but I get it, like the John Cena comparisons. But John Cena came up in a different time of the business where that was what you did. We're now learning that there's another way to do. We've heard everybody from
Chris
Shawn
Jericho is the goddamn example. You've written in his book. He got shit on backstage for going out there and shitting all over his opponent, because he was told by Vince McMahon, you don't berate your opponent and say he's garbage, because if you lose to him, you look bad.
Yeah.
That was Vince McMahon instilling that in 1999.
Yeah, but you also, this is the same Vince McMahon who promoted Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania, and Hulk Hogan used to run down all his opponents.
Yeah, but he never said they were shit. He never said they sucked. He always had an air of, you are tough. But I'm going to come in with my Hulkamaniacs and beat you. But he never told. That's the one thing he never did.
Triple H.
Yeah, but that's a whole.
Shawn Michaels, The Rock.
Again, they never truly said their opponents were shit. They.
The Rock did the Billy Gunn promo before the world title match with the King of the Ring.
But that's Billy Gunn, and nobody believes in Billy Gunn. Come on.
You don't believe in Daddy Ass?
Right there. Chris Parrish has the exact line. Hogan ran down his opponents in a way to make winning matter.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm just saying, this concept of making your opponent look good isn't new, but it's something we haven't seen a lot of lately.
Yeah, you are right.
In this new age world, a lot of, and it's why that quote made it so resonant to me, is because growing up, I saw a lot of guys being like, hey, you're good, but I'm better, da, 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 da. And then all of a sudden there was that attitude era where everybody sucked and everybody was bad and nobody was any good. And it just seemed weird. I loved how this one was all about, you know what? You're great. You've been carrying this brand on your back for almost an entire year. But guess what? I'm going to dethrone you. Oh, you know, I don't need you to bring this Braun Breaker or that Braun Breaker or this Braun Breaker. And he lists off all of the different types of Braun Breaker. He's like, you know what Braun Breaker I want? I want the guy who's going to run through a wall, because that guy's the toughest Braun Breaker there is. So when I beat him, it makes me feel special. It makes me better than everybody else. And that's the type of thing that you get from Carmelo Hayes, where this match isn't even heel versus babyface or babyface versus babyface. This is legitimately Braun Breaker versus Carmelo Hayes. And both of them are piping up the other so that no matter what happens, whoever wins this match comes out looking good. I just pray that it's not Braun Breaker. Because as we heard the crowd tonight, which was better than the crowd that was at Roadblock last week.
Save us, Mello.
Yes, Save Us, Mello was a chant that was... Did you hear the little piped up chant, like the little bitty pipes of Save Us, Mello, and then all of a sudden you hear, Save Us, Braun.
Well, I thought it was Let's Go, Braun.
No, it was Save Us, Braun. They were trying to get on them. Pretty Deadly trying to basically ruins this entire segment. I hated Pretty Deadly's involvement in this whole thing. And as soon as they came out, I knew that they were the ones going through the table, because it was going to be some kind of fisticuffs. And Braun Breaker and Mello both want this match to happen. Neither guy is going to attack each other. Trick Williams just stood there and was just like, I'm just here for the fun of it. I ain't doing nothing. He didn't take 2 steps the entire promo. Like, he's just like, Mello's got this. I don't need to move. Yep. I'm just going to stand here. I love this. This was great. They put Pretty Deadly through the table. The match is set. Hopefully, Carmelo Hayes wins his championship. And that was NXT. Like I said, it wasn't a bad episode. It wasn't a great episode. It was a really good episode of a television product building to a big show in a couple weeks.
Yeah. It did what it needed to do. It made me interested in stuff for Stand and Deliver. You know?
And we
watch it regularly.
Yeah, and again, it gave us, as I always talk about with Astrid, and again, you know, women's wrestling matters, especially now in Women's History Month. You know, having 3 women's matches on this card, having multiple segments involving a women's division, you know, yeah, it was a little bit thrown off course by the fact that we don't have Roxanne Perez there locked into a match, and we're kind of redoing a bunch of stuff there. But you know what? They're still pushing the women's division. They had more than adequate matches on this show in a 2-hour show to promote the women's division and to show us multiple women who can challenge for the championship. Even if Roxanne Perez is in this match, you've just given us multiple women who are at the level to potentially be going against your NXT Women's Champion, and that is a good thing.
Very much so. Big props to Barry here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to write an email to WWE. I'm telling them that I'm hosting the next pay-per-view after WrestleMania. They never seem to refuse. You know what, Barry? Go ahead and do it. You know what, Barry? I think you should hold on to that, because I know that you said you're from the UK. you should wait and you should host Money in the Bank when they go to London.
Yeah, and you're gonna have a problem because Bad Bunny's already said he's hosting Backlash.
He is. Yeah, you're already behind because, yes, Backlash is being hosted by Bad Bunny. It is taking place in Puerto Rico. It's going to be fantastic. Good job on WWE to get them back to Puerto Rico. They haven't been there. I don't think they've run a pay-per-view in Puerto Rico since New Year's Revolution.
Yeah, 2005 or 6.
It's isn't that the one where John Cena gets cashed in on? It's the Elimination Chamber where
That'd be
Edge cashes
6.
in?
That would be 6 then.
I think that one was the one that came from Puerto. Either way, I'm almost certain that the last time they were in Puerto Rico for a big show like that was in the early 2000s. It was one of those New Year's Revolutions. We're gonna go ahead.
It was 06, yeah.
Yeah.
Chris
Andre,
is saying, yeah.
where can we? Hold on, I gotta find the right banner. Tell us where we can find you.
You can find multiple locations. You can check all the content I put out. It's the Andre and Melball Wrestling Talk at youtube.com/Andre and Melball Wrestling Talk. You can check hear myself and Melball talking Stardom, New Japan, and the local independent wrestling scene when we hit those shows up. You can also find me on Twitter at That Canada Guy, Instagram at That Canada Dude, on Mastodon and Hive at That Canada Guy. You can find Mel Collins Melball on Twitter and Melball Collins on Instagram and Facebook. Please come and check us out. Check all the product out, and also we are simulcasted on Backbreaker Video from our good buddy Mike the Ref. So check out that too. Check us out there too.
Yeah, and Mike the Ref can be found at twitch.tv/Mike the Ref. He's a wonderful friend of the channel. He's a great guy who does all kinds of fantastic stuff. He also helps host. He hosts the coverage of Making an Impact that my normal co-host Astrid Pizarro hosts, which I will be co-hosting again this week with Cody. But again, you can find me here. No, that's not the right banner. That's busting out. That has all the Perisher stuff. You can find me here at EdFries12584. You can find me on Twitch at EdFries2002. Make sure you follow me on Twitch, as I am going to be starting to going ahead and streaming later on this week, probably this weekend. I'm going to start streaming WWE 2K23. I've been playing around with it. I spent 2.5 hours last night trying to figure out how to make it so that I had PlayStation prompts instead of Xbox prompts, because I'm playing it on Steam for the first time, and it didn't want to show me how to do things on my PlayStation controller because I don't have an Xbox controller. You can find my co-host Astrid Pizarro on Twitter at Astrid Pizarro, on Instagram at AstridPizarro20, and on Twitch at twitch.tv/Astrid Pizarro. It's not .com. It is .tv. She hosts a wonderful show called Making an Impact. I will be there this Thursday night. Me and Cody will be talking another great week of Impact Wrestling. It's another great wrestling promotion that you should be paying attention to, because they do some fantastic stuff, as they are building to 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 shows. As they're building to Sacrifice, they are building to Multiverse United, which is a joint show between New Japan Strong and Impact. And they're also building to No Surrender. It's not No Surrender. There's one more pay-per-view. Rebellion. The one that comes from Canada. From Toronto.
Yeah. And Sacrifice is going to be in Windsor.
Yeah. We have Mel Ball giving us, loving the throwout. We have Damn Bad Bunny. You're right about the UK. Save on. I know. Save on Playfair. You don't want to fly all the way to Puerto Rico and then find out that Bad Bunny's already doing it. 2006 was in Albany, New York, where Edge cashed in. And we have Impact's Greatest Wrestling Show of the Week. You can keep your Jade Cargills. We have Alicia Edwards. Far, far worse. To put in perspective how long Alicia Edwards has been bad, I went to a wrestling show where Samoa Joe was his last indie appearance before he joined NXT. He'd already signed the contract, but he was filling out his last indie dates. On that show, I watched Nevaeh wrestle against Mickie James. Nevaeh is the indie name for Alicia Edwards way back when.
And she sucked then?
And she was bad then, and she was wrestling Mickie James, and now she's in Impact, and she's still pretty shit.
So she's worse than Jade Cargill, is what you're saying?
She is. But we are here on Ole, and we want to tell you about all the wonderful things that you can catch on Ole. So I'm going to play a little video, and then we're going to get out. joining us this week on Taking Over. Next week, we're going to have Astrid Pizarro's birthday bash, so make sure you go ahead and check that out. Until next time, I've been Ed Fries. This has been my Marvel Talk tag team partner, Andre C., and we will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye.
Everyone is watching me when I'm coming around. They all are judging me when I'm lying on the ground. I've got no shelter, I've got no escape. My life is a prison and I can't run away. I feel it in my bones, I'm losing it all.
Oh, I didn't